go! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all his generous patrons who kept us going for over 390 episodes.
We're getting so close to 400. But yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Raymond L. Thank you, Raymond. I think Raymond's been with us since 2020.
Dang.
The dark year, the year where shit got weird. But as always, we also have a sponsor to thank. And of course, we're talking about Manscaped. This is their latest product, the Beard Hedger Pro. And I have hit a certain point with my beard now where I'm getting to the longer, now that my beard is getting to the longer side. It's still short by most beard standards, but it's now
not as short as your hair.
Right. It's now hitting the point where like most trimmers aren't going to just like cut it. You got to like switch to scissors. And at first I was all like, that's a problem. And then I realized, oh, the Beard Hedger Pro kit comes with like comb, scissors, all the shit you need to take care of. And then you can still use this on your mustache and on my sideburns to get the fade into my hairline.
To be fair, there are multiple options for this.
Yeah.
There's like you want just this, but there is a full kit.
You can get the Pro kit with like the beard cream, and actually, I have a picture.
There's a lot of stuff in there. You know, there's oils, shampoos, creams, combs, brush. Because like the comb, you do before, and then the brush you do after. Comb is to like try to straighten
everything out. Yeah,
straighten everything out for a nice even cut, and then like a brush is just to get all the. There's a word for it. It's in the box.
My mustache is finally coming back after having lost a chunk of it, and so I've got a smooth, clean beard for the wedding that I'm going to this weekend. I'm gonna pack my beard hedger to trim up the day before or the day.
Well, I can say this: I've used this now, and I will say this with a full confidence. This is the best beard trimmer I have ever used, and I've used many. I've used every kind of razor on the market. I've used multiple electric, trimmers. This is 100% by far and away the easiest, smoothest, and best working beard trimmer I've ever used. I'm not even being
super easy to clean too.
Yes, very easy to clean. Just like pop it right out, clean it up, and then like pops right back in. But this thing just worked immediately in ways Todd Howard only wishes his shit could.
Find a way to throw Todd Howard under the bus.
Always. Always.
The point is we do love the thing. If you want to check it out or any of the Manscaped products, of which we love many of them, please head over to manscaped.com. Use our code YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's code YoVG, all caps, at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Your balls will thank you.
And now your beard too, because this was just fast, smooth, quick, easy. I was super impressed with this thing.
I dig it. I'll tell you what else I dig as a transition. I dig demos, and I'm real happy that the Final Fantasy 16 demo kicks ass. But it makes me wonder why aren't demos just the standard? How come a month out every game doesn't have a demo?
It was so weird to me. Not weird, but it was kind of like this is like justifying or vindicated. I was super vindicated because I played played a lot of 16. Yeah, I played a lot of 16 before the demo came out. The demo didn't even come out until very recent, like within 10 days of the game's release, right?
Right.
And so many people were converted online. People watching the demo were converted. People talked about how they had, their girlfriend or their parents, and they got super invested in the story. Now they want their son, their partner, or whatever, to buy the full game. They want to see where it goes. So just more than just the gameplay, but even just the general vibe of the game.
And the save file transfers over, right?
I believe so, yeah. So like everything is really striking a chord with everyone. And to me, I was like, why the fuck didn't you put this demo out earlier?
Well,
first of all.
uh,
And second of all, just kind of like this is such a good selling point, a good
yeah,
what thing to point to and go like, look how good your demo is. Because we talked about this before, where we had a whole episode about exclusives and how like they may be shooting themselves in the foot by making this a hard locked PS5 only exclusive. They might be losing a ton of money by doing that.
I think this is going to be a huge hit. I mean, it looks like it already is going to be, but
this demo's turning. I truly believe this demo's turning it around for a lot of people, because now
do you,
that they're getting their hands on it and playing, it's like, oh, this is the shit.
do you know what having the nuts is? Have you ever heard that term?
Having the nuts to do something.
No, just like having the nuts. So the nuts is a poker term when you have like when you know you have the best hand. When you
Mm,
absolutely have the best hand and how you play it, you go all in. When you have the nuts, you go all in, right? And it becomes a film term, sort of. You hear it with like some people will talk about it. Probably started online somewhere. Like there's a
yeah.
YouTuber who used it, but basically it's like when you know you're at like the juiciest part of a story, or you know you have a really good product, or you know you're gonna fucking win. That moment when
Yeah.
you're gonna win, like you slow it down and you trickle it out because you got it. So in a story, for instance, that's why like at the most suspenseful or the climax or whatever, they
Mhm.
slow way down, and like the pace will slow down a little bit, and it's like the equivalent of a whisper to make the audience lean forward, right? Part of me is like, Square Enix knew they had the nuts, and so they're all like, we don't have to release the demo, we'll get some creators out here to get some buzz going, and
Mhm.
then 10 days before we'll release the demo and really bring people in. Part of me
Yeah.
is like, they're super confident, and I hope it pays off. I'm not saying that like I think it's gonna screw them. I do sort of think that in the end they'll wish they were not an exclusive.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think they probably, with the way the pre-orders were going, they probably wish they had done this earlier. But I mean, like, as long as they get day one, week one sales, anyways, maybe it won't matter.
yeah,
But I mean, I kept saying this is a good game. People are like, this is really good. It's really fun, and it's like, yes, I now I'm justified in that completely.
Well, one of my favorite things about this is when you first said that, I was already sort of like, I'm probably not going to get that. That's whatever. And then you said, no, this is good. And one, you never lay on praise on Square Enix, like ever, like ever. The hardest sell in the world for you to be on their side. So I was like, oh, okay. I finally played the demo a little bit. I'm not going to be in town to get it right away, so I won't get to play it until Monday. But
hmm
uh genuinely, it and Starfield I think are my two, like, really, maybe Alan Wake too, but we'll see if that actually comes out when they say
Yeah,
it's gonna come out. But
yeah,
I'm like, it's gonna be a good year for me. I'm eating.
yeah.
Yeah, but um I'm trying to think of like, is there a game that's already come out where like if they released the first hour of the game as a demo, it actually would have hurt it? Because I can't think of a single
Mm.
game where if you had a demo for it, it would hurt it. Rather than like it. I think any game would be helped by a demo.
Balan Wonderworld had a demo, and it was awful.
Really?
The
What
whole
made it
game was
awful?
the whole game was awful. The whole game was a big piece of shit.
Okay, yeah, but the game
And they
sucked.
released a demo, and then people were like immediately informed this game sucks.
Right.
So in a sense, that didn't help it at all.
So don't release a demo of your game. Shit.
In a
Yeah, okay,
way,
fair.
there are games where like that are slow burns, or like maybe the first bit isn't very good.
Horizon.
Mm.
Horizon had a demo. Didn't the
Mm,
original Horizon have a demo?
maybe I
I
want to say maybe, but maybe was the demo the first hour? I can't imagine they released a demo for Horizon and you were running around as little kid Aloy, running around like the ruins underground. There's no
Yeah, no,
fucking way.
I think it had to be like the first area. You do like one little mission in the first area
That would make a
as
lot
an
more
adult.
sense, and that would be a good demo, though. On the flip side, I will say this: There were demos for Octopath Traveler and Project Triangle Strategy by Square Enix, and they definitely turned me away from the game. They didn't really turn me away from the game because I kind of figured probably not going to be all that enthralled with it. But like, I'm not. I don't hate despite what some people think, I don't hate turn-based battles, and I definitely do like some. I do like some strategy RPGs. But Triangle Strategy was just so fucking wordy, and wordy in a bad way, where it was like they're not
I like
saying
turn-based strategy.
Yeah, like they're not saying, that's what it is. It's turn-based strategy.
Yeah, I like turn-based strategy, but
there's dialogue, but there's nothing advancing the plot. Like, the setup was like you're on like the docks. If a ship just came into harbor, and then bandits attacked the ship that just came in, and every single bandit character on their turn says something, and they all say the same fucking thing about like, you'll never get out of here alive. We're gonna kill you and take your loot. We're gonna kill you. Yeah, like you'll rue the day. And they all say the same fucking variation of that. And every single one of them, like 10 of them or whatever, have to all say the same fucking thing. Why do they all need to say something? Why? Why does it have to happen in the midst of the battle? Because like they come in like mid-battle too.
Let characters have their moment.
And I'm like, these are characters that are like, they show up, they're gonna like, and then they die in the minute your turn you get close enough to do an attack on them.
It's the equivalent of like a day actor or like a jobber background actor, like really going for it. Like this is
it's like when the extra tries to upstage real hard, and they all have to have a quote when they die, like, curse you, how could this happen to me? It's like, it's so fucking wordy. And then that's not even going into like the dialogue of the actual main characters and plot, and it's just so much like just small talk and patting on the back and not even trying to hide what's the word, not exploitive, but exposition. Just not even trying to hide the exposition really hard in it. And then that's like 16 does like the cool thing where it's just kind of like they're playing the story, and at any point you can touch the touchpad and it brings up the real-time lore. So it brings up a little like bubbles of info, like Wikipedia things, where you can like pause the cutscene and go, and it brings up all these things that are mentioned in the cutscene in case you wanted to like read
more
up
of
on,
like exposition bubbles.
And that's up to you if you want to pause the cutscene and like, oh wait, hold on, refresh me. What is this again? Who's he referring to?
That's
incredible.
in
the demo, and it's in the game. So it's just kind of like, okay, well, we're not gonna we're not gonna like keep repeating, info to you over and over again. If you need to catch up, press the touchpad. It'll pause the cutscene. Boom, and here's this bunch of Wikipedia tabs.
That's wonderful. That's straight up great. Are you kidding me? That's really great.
Yeah, so I'm like, I get it. What a great idea, and like cool that it's in the demo to show this. But yeah, like, so Project Triangle Strategy and Octopath Traveler, like 1 and 2, really, they both kind of were like, yeah, the music's good, but holy fuck, these games go like talk too much. And I think there's and here's the thing, because here's where it unsells a game, is that they're HD 2D games where basically it's sort of 3D, but it's all 2D sprites. I don't know if you've seen how those games look.
Right. Yeah.
It looks like fucking Minecraft with like Super Nintendo sprites running around on it.
Upsetting.
Yeah. And a lot of bloom effects, a whole lot of Unreal Engine bloom effects. But when you're 2D sprites that don't move, and it's just like the sprites are standing there, and then this big text box comes above their head, it is hard to keep that engaging when no motion is going on screen. Like, you're not even getting art. You're just looking at like 8 or 16-bit pixels just standing there. It's like, holy fuck, get to the point. Which is something you kind of realize about Super NES RPGs, and that is they didn't have the memory to have so much anything in the game. So they had to be have more brevity with their plot. Like, they had to we can only do so much, and so shit's a little more to the point.
How long was the average RPG on Super Nintendo, like in terms of hours?
Well, it depends on the RPG, and also really depends on how much they made you grind, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, fair. But you're still like, they were nowhere near as long as what it got to, saying PS1, PS2.
Yeah, and they started to get real fucking long, right?
They did. So. Well, a huge selling point of Final Fantasy VII is that it was 70 hours to complete. Now, granted, A lot of that's grinding, side quest grinding shit. But
Yeah,
still, that was a selling point, So
it
I don't
was.
think I do sort of was it a conscious decision to not have a lot of dialogue the same way that it was a decision to not have a lot of story in Super NES? Because
I think it has way more to do with the memory limitations.
right, yeah, because they put the story was in the pamphlet, or in the
Yeah.
game book. Um, I kind of wish that there was still. I wish there were still game books. I mean, there's physical games are going bye bye, but um, I wish that was a thing. But I also still wish there was like, you remember when you were subscribed to a video game magazine, you'd get like the demo disc.
Right. Or you steal it from the bookstore.
I'd never do that. I don't know why
Yes, you did.
don't know why you'd say that.
Yes, there's a reason Borders went out of business, and it's because of people like you.
How dare you? But I miss that like excitement of like you don't know what demos were going to be on the disc, like demo packs. Granted, I realize there's not really a way to do the equivalent of the excitement of not knowing what demo is going to be on the disc,
Yeah.
but there's very few ways I can think of, or a few equivalent ways to raise hype, like a surprise demo.
Well, even if it wasn't a surprise, even if it was like known, like we're gonna have the demo coming up in the next issue of Metal Gear Solid, it's like, oh
Right.
fuck. And the thing is like I think that there's probably some weird mentality from some shithead at these companies that feels like if they play the demo, they'll feel they're satisfied enough with enough gameplay, and they can either watch the rest on YouTube, or like
Right.
maybe they feel like they've gotten enough of the game. They don't really feel the need. So it's actually we're giving them too much of a taste that they're not going to feel the need to drop $60-$70 on it or whatever. And even back in the 90s, when you had PlayStation demo discs, and if it was a game you were looking forward to, you were hyped and you still bought the game. Like there was
absolutely.
There was like the only, there were plenty of games I didn't buy, but because a kid only have so much money. But when it was a game you really wanted and you got the demo and you were super hyped for the demo, that didn't stop you from buying the game at all. Like it almost never did. Like there'd be games like Future Cop LAPD that was pretty cool, and maybe you liked it, and you went and rented it because you just couldn't afford it. You got
Right.
you got one game every 6 months. There were plenty of games that you didn't buy that you enjoyed the demo of, but you didn't buy it because you just didn't have the fucking means to.
Well, also in the age of streamers, demos are, I can't think of an easier way of free advertising.
Yeah.
Like streamers who go through and play your demo. And if your demo catches on, all of a sudden everybody's dissecting it, everybody's talking about it. And it's just like it becomes part of culture. Like,
yeah, and I don't
a part of gaming culture.
I've done it twice now where I just started playing the Sea of Stars demo, which just came out on Steam, by the way. So now PC people, and that was the kind of the number one thing is like, is this demo on Steam? Is this demo on Steam? And I was like, it's supposed to be, not yet. We didn't know when, but it came out during like some Steam event. But it was just everyone was looking at it like, whoa, this looks great. This looks great. We're gonna, we kind of like, and they're like, where are you getting this demo? I'm like, it's Switch only. And that was kind of a bummer because it's an indie game, so they only have so much time to do anything. So they had to they're having to stagger the demo per platform. So Switch got it first, and then PC just got it, and then like Xbox and PlayStation will come next. But I've sold so many people just playing that demo, just like yo, check this shit out, and like, whoa, this looks great. Now people are on board with this game, and it's on Game Pass now. Like, yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, you have games where it's like RE4 Remake had a demo, and it's like they released that just because they knew it was going to get attention. I don't think anyone thought the RE4 demo wasn't going to sell. So that the RE4 Remake wasn't going to sell. So the demo doesn't necessarily serve the purpose that I'm saying it. But look at how much like hype it raised for streamers playing the shit out of it.
Right, and it created all kinds of buzz because they had that hidden TMP or whatever.
Right, yeah.
If you run really fast, don't pick up anything kind of thing or whatever.
Right.
So like you have like that started with the RE7 demo, which that's a legendary demo in and of itself. And that, again, like going back to even 7, it's like RE was doing a massive change, massive, style change. And how did they sell people on it? And that's like, well, you have this really fucking intriguing demo, and everyone online is trying to fucking solve like a mystery of it, like fucking crazy.
Of which there wasn't really a mystery there,
Which
but
there wasn't. Which like they even a dev literally took the demo into like a PlayStation dev kit and was like, "There's nothing here." Like,
just wanted to find out. I part of me is like, for horror games especially, a demo that isn't an actual part of the game, a demo that's just like a vertical slice of the game, I think makes a ton of sense. Like for a horror game specifically, getting
yeah,
like just like a flavor where you get like the entire picture of what the game's going to be type thing. And RE7 in a way was that, even though you technically do that part in the
sort
in
of. Not the
so,
same way, but yeah.
but it's there. It's just not the same. It's like a trailer to movie moment.
Yeah.
Um, I think that works really well in a horror game. I think for like an action game or even an RPG game, having a story demo, either that is a connected story, so it's still a vertical slice, so it's not technically ruining any content, but like having it be like a prequel moment or something, so that it encourages people who want that like extra like layer. Like you can almost build in a reason to play the demo for the main game,
Yes.
you know?
And
Um,
they're doing a thing now, which is smart, which is carry or save over. Because
right.
if it's not a unique demo that's not part of the main game, but is the main game, they're doing the smart thing now by letting you transfer your save. So now you're just even now they're really like drug dealers where
Hmm.
they're giving you a little taste, and then they're like they're now you're able to carry over your progress into the final build. But like, don't lose any progress. Pick up right where you left off. When
Right, and that's the main reason that I haven't really played. Like I played a little bit of the demo, but I haven't played much of it because I don't want to forget it. Over the long weekend, I want to come back and just like play it from beginning, like just
yeah.
really go for it. Um, one, because I know I'm not the type of person that's going to play the demo multiple times. Like
Mhm.
some people, like we have a mutual friend who's played it 3 times already, and it's
Mm.
just like, how long is the demo?
It's not that long, but the demo, you beat it, and then it unlocks a second demo essentially.
Oh wow,
And the
okay,
the second the second demo is way better if you're into the combat because you get to do so much more. They unlocked a whole bunch of shit combat
wow.
wise in the second demo that lets you really fucking experiment and tear around with it. Um,
I'm sort of I'm trying to think of like a game, an upcoming game that'll really, really benefit from a demo. Sort of think Alan Wake.
I think Alan Wake 2 would because like I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, oh yeah, Alan Wake, that game, whatever, it was trippy and shit, whatever. But like everyone who was at the summer gaming suck off um came away from that demo saying that this demo like changed my mind. This demo blew me
Right.
away. Like I'm like, okay, well, this demo then sounds like it needs to fucking come out to the public because it'll put the game. People might be aware of the game, but it's going to put it on their fucking to buy list.
Right.
And that's
And
that's what you want to do.
Alan Wake is sort of one of those games where it's like, if you like survival horror or you've been playing games for a long time, like you're at least aware of it. It was kind of a cultural touch point for gaming.
Yeah.
If you were into survival horror. Um, but I feel like it's been a long time since anybody really talked about Alan Wake. I don't know. Seriously, if that makes sense. I
Yeah.
seriously isn't the right word, but like where like it's just not necessarily a part of the conversation to all gamers. Gaming has become so
Yeah.
big since the first one came out,
Right.
where it's like, everybody talks about COD because a COD's come out every fucking year since gaming
COD's
hit.
feel like it's kind of fallen off the face of the planet a
It,
bit.
it is now, thank God. Maybe they'll learn from it. But my point being is like a demo could really make like Alan Wake get talked about and make
Mhm.
people maybe even go back and play the first one if they haven't played it at all. Like that's something that a demo can do that I think just streaming or just a new game coming out can't do. Like if season 2 of a show is coming out, okay, you'll probably sit down and watch season 1 if you've never seen it. But a sequel game, you won't all I don't think people necessarily are willing to go out and buy the first game just because the second game looks good.
True.
But if you have a demo to raise hype and you play the demo of the second game and you're like, oh wait, I really love this, that could get you to buy the first game to satisfy you until the second game comes out, but it'll at least definitely get you to buy that second game. You know what I mean? Like it's I feel like demos
Especially
are
if
a better sell.
yeah. Especially if like the game isn't like hyper tied to the first, like, oh, it's not
Right.
like you must have played the first to understand the second. If it's like different enough or whatever, kind of like what Alan Wake sounds like it's doing, because they're introducing a new character
Right.
to play as. So it's like the new character and is a fish out of water to the old character who is also still in the game and playable. So I think that's kind of like a good call right there. Uh yeah, I mean it can I mean, I talked about this I think already on the podcast, but I feel like there was a game that came out. I did not expect it to have a demo, and it did. And the demo went from me being completely ambivalent about the game to I'm buying this game. Well, actually, I'm not buying it because it's on Game Pass. Ah, um, and that was Lies of P, because I'm not really the biggest Soulsborne guy, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like,
Right. Yeah.
goody, a copycat Soulsborne game, like even better. And the combat and feel of that game was so good, which I would never have known without the demo. Would never have known this without being hands-on with it. But going hands-on with it was so good. It felt so nice. Showed me how different it is and how much more like how much more finesse is there, and how it's all about timing and parries. It's not about rolling around an enemy endlessly.
Right.
It's not about those crazy iframes. I'm like, no, oh, it's about pairing. It's just about being like able to like react quickly. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking great.
Which, I
And
mean,
that,
I guess the argument would be that Soulsborne is that too. Pairing is the ultimate.
I mean, you
Uh,
can, but everything is just at a different pace
right.
in a Souls game. Like pairing is absolutely a fucking thing, but like it's not it's not like the gameplay it's not the central gameplay mechanic. And it is definitely not like meant to be the end all be all for like every boss fight. And in Soulsborne, there are 100%. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this, but to my knowledge, there are 100% moves that cannot be parried
Hmm.
from bosses in Soulsborne games. But that's not true in Lies of P.
Interesting.
Least for the demo. And the crazy thing is it's a 4-hour fucking demo, and there doesn't transfer your save, which is bizarre to me. But it's so good. I'm so sold on this fucking game. I'll absolutely be there day one on Game Pass. To plug Game Pass again, but on anything.
Are
And
there
it played well on the demo, came out on everything, and it ran and played very well on PC, which is almost an anomaly in today's day and age for the
well,
PC version to be up to par with the console versions.
I think we just touched on the reason why they don't release demos very often, because they're all the stuff of how it runs and any mistakes become glaring in a demo.
Yeah.
So they probably just don't wanna.
Right. And people get that idea that like the game sucks or the game is unoptimized, the game doesn't run very well, like from the demo, because people can't
Right.
separate demo from finished product.
Well, I'm one of
And
those people. I would have a hard time. Like if the demo runs like absolute shit, why would I believe that the game runs better?
right, which is fair. And I think I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that, because again, the demo is, well, you're willingly putting your first impression forward, so
Hmm.
nail it. But that leads to an issue where it's like you have to sit there and polish up a fucking demo for a game, and then like how early are you releasing this demo, because you might have to sit there and create a vertical slice that's super fucking polished where the rest of the game is still in various states of optimization. And that puts basically you're creating more work for the dev team, is what I'm getting at here, which is the argument people used to always make for E3, is that E3 the demos had to be very good and polished, which would actually take time away from the development of the full game.
Hmm.
And I kind of get that for E3. It's still kind of like, okay, whatever. Well, games are taking so fucking long to make. Like it
5 years on average now.
yeah, it would almost be good to have a demo like to satiate in the meantime. But going back to like Final Fantasy 16, I'm like, well, this demo came out 10 days before the game. Like, I don't think this took any dev. The game was fucking done. You know, if it's 10 days before the game, that means the game has definitely been gone through approval process, been certified, and gone gold. and discs have probably already been printed. It's probably like about to ship out to warehouses by the time you release a demo. If
Right,
it's 10 days before a game comes out.
It's not going to be like a beta where they're taking any notes to fix any major problems or anything. Like the demo's just a demo to sell you.
Yeah, which is crazy because like the Final Fantasy 16 team are actually putting out a day one patch, even though they said they didn't want to put out a day one patch. But they said, we're taking some feedback from the demo. We're going to have a tiny minor fix on day one, adjustments, for balancing and for frame rate.
Oh, okay. Well, frame rate, I guess, makes sense, but like balancing, is it just people had a hard time with an enemy in the demo?
I have no fucking idea, honestly.
Interesting.
I had heard some feedback from a game. I guess I'll refrain from saying it, where this was not a demo but a full game. Is a game you can play on Game Pass, and people were saying that the puzzles were too hard. And that's the major feedback. And I'm kind of sitting there thinking in my head, like, fuck you. Like puzzles are way too easy in games most of the time. Puzzles are either like because they were hard, but they weren't disturbingly obtuse either. Some people say they would argue that they were.
I think if you don't have
but
build to puzzles, it ends up being out of left field and can be a pain in the ass. Like some puzzles will just be suddenly way harder than the puzzles that came before it and don't build on the skill. Like a well-built game that has puzzles in it builds each puzzle to teach you how to solve the later puzzles.
Right, because everything is like a step, a step beyond taking what came before and then adding a step to it.
Right, and there's a lot of games. Well, maybe not a lot of games, but there's a few games out there that I would say probably fuck all that up. Where all of a sudden you'll just hit a puzzle that's just like, what? I don't know to do with that. I'd actually argue that was one of the big turnoffs to people of Resident Evil, and why like Resident Evil puzzles have gotten significantly easier. Is like some puzzles in OG Resident Evil games would be out of nowhere ridiculously hard for no reason.
Yeah.
You can think of like what was the one that everybody complained about in the OG Resident Evil 4? Was that painting one?
Yeah, I think you're talking about the gallery where the birds are.
Yeah, it's like the gallery one and then the gemstone one or something like that. I didn't really have a hard time with either of those, but I remember people having like a goddamn stroke over the gallery one. Like people really losing it over that. We're like, oh, I gotta like. I remember people writing down the solution just so when they replay it, they don't have to think about it.
I mean, that's a good puzzle though. That requires you to take notes. Like I have like literally have a thing here of notes for puzzles for like a puzzle I had to solve for a recent game.
Well, that's old school, man. Every kid used to have like a one of those composition notebooks full of puzzle notes for games they were playing.
I think that's great. Games should have that more.
That's just because you're a Super Nintendo kid, and you're used to having to have like a notebook nearby.
What's wrong with that? I feel that's so much cooler.
Nothing. We've grown beyond it, though.
No, like that's so cool that you would actually have to sit there and like be like, okay, you have to be like the character in the game, and you have to like actually write shit down or like like draw shit out or like place it in like, oh, and then I move this around like that. That's it.
Could you imagine an Uncharted game or something similar to that, where like the game ships with a little notebook that you're expected to like take notes into about stuff you see throughout the temple to help you solve?
I said this when the Japanese release of the very first Ni no Kuni game came out on the DS, not the PlayStation, the DS version, and every version of the game shipped with this big wizards book.
Oh yeah.
And you had to use it to like solve simple puzzle. Like the puzzles were pretty simple. It was usually like, oh, like look up this thing in the book, and like the character will have like some saying you can, or like there'll be some runes to translate, and you bring up the translation guide real quick or whatever, right?
Yeah. Cool.
And I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool as fuck. That was the coolest fucking thing. I thought this would be so fucking cool in an Uncharted game where if like you're going through the level and you literally have a physical notebook you can actually flip through. Right. A lot of people be like, "Oh fuck, I'll just look up the answer on GameFAQs." Sure, bring up your phone, like flip through it on your phone, and like
the internet's ruined gaming, and we all know
be that way. But I mean, I would even if it was only for even if it was only for special editions, like and the rest of them were like, okay, well, go to this website, download this PDF or whatever the fuck, for all you lame asses, all you Zoomers.
Yeah, so I guess that's what the three things that have ruined the internet or ruined gaming is it's David Cage, hard puzzles, and the internet.
The internet. But I just think it would be really cool if you had like a cool little notebook you could flip through, and it would like or even if it wasn't like main game, like what if it was just all complete, like okay, you wanted to platinum the game, you had to go buy a notebook or get the special edition because there was just stuff that, I mean, obviously the internet
that would piss
the internet would
off.
The internet would ruin it. But I mean,
that would make me so fucking angry if you had to like go buy another thing in order to get 100% on a game. I'd be so mad.
Yeah, I could see where
We'd spend a whole episode talking about how mad I am. I'd be so fucking pissed. But I do think if they included a little booklet to use as your adventure notebook.
Yeah, and that's what Ni no Kuni on the DS did. Every fucking copy of the game was a box set that came with the book.
That's
and
cool.
it was pretty expensive, and it kind of hurt them sales wise a little bit for it. But
and that's sad. But it is a cool idea.
But yeah, it was a cool idea because it was like, okay, well, we're charging you what was at the time a full price for a DS game. The DS game came with a hardbound fucking book, hardcover book. So, like actual book, 300-page book. So, with like parchment paper, too. It wasn't even like shitty, like cheap paper. It was like,
it wasn't computer paper. It was like straight up like heavy weighted.
Yes,
like it had.
Yes,
that's amazing.
I gotta go dig this out for you if you want at some point. But yeah.
Well, next episode you can hold it up and we can show it off and people can look at the video for it. Yeah, I don't know if it's like I mean, it is obviously a cost thing. That's why they wouldn't do it. But is there would there be a pushback from gamers in general where it's like, oh, you're gonna take fucking notes? I could see that.
I feel there would be, but I also feel like if you're playing, if it's the right genre and you're making the game for the right crowd, like obviously Joe Sixpack is not going to give a fuck about taking notes or using a book to do anything. He just wants to unga bunga. I just want to shoot people and scream racial epithets. Like that is the COD manifesto for like a certain subsection of millions of gamers. But there's
minus the racial epithets. I am Joe Sixpack. I don't
know. There are people who are like, I love fucking Professor Layton.
It would have to be like, it'd have to be a pretty special game to get me to be like, yeah, all right, I'm going to take some fucking notes. Like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, where I get to be Indiana Jones, basically. All right, I could see that, where I've got to like take down some notes.
I'm sorry, but like stuff. If Machine Games' next game, that's the Indiana Jones game that they're making, if that had a fucking notebook that you had to like reference to get through the game, like like his dad's diary in Last Crusade, that would be fucking awesome.
It would be cool. It would be. I mean, granted, they're gonna have it in game, right? It'll be digital.
It'll be in game bullshit because I mean, these are the guys who made Wolfenstein, so they're obviously.
I do love them.
They're not obviously like people who are known for like, we make puzzle heavy games, but who knows? Maybe Indiana Jones will be.
Well, it depends on if the puzzle is how you creatively kill Nazis. They do that well.
Yeah, I know. It feels like it was kind of like the perfect developer to make an Indiana Jones game is like the people who make Wolfenstein. Yes. Like they're very good at it. They're very proud of it too.
Harrison Ford would approve.
Florida wouldn't.
Oof, jeez. Can you think of a game that like didn't have a demo, but you think if a demo did come out, it would have fucked it?
Like made the game worse, well, like done.
Yeah, like it would have hurt the game if it would have had a demo. Like the only reason it sold as well as it did is because there wasn't a demo to show people how terrible it was.
Oh, I see where you're going. Skyward Sword kind of immediately comes to mind on that one.
If there was a demo of Skyward Sword, do you think it would have sold less?
Yeah, especially if it was just the opening of Skyward Sword where you're doing nothing but like getting cats off of roofs and shit like that.
I mean, that's a little rough, but yeah.
Even if it was the E3 demo, it would have turned people off because people would have realized how fucking like not cumbersome, but just sort of annoying the motion controls are, and having a stamina gauge is, where Link runs out of breath running or climbing. And then it's like, the motion controls were awesome. Like they did. I'm not saying they didn't work. I'm saying like they didn't add anything. Like, this is,
I mean, how often do motion controls really add anything anyway, though?
In VR, maybe.
Well, yeah, but in VR, they're sort of fucking necessary.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have motion controls in VR, you're missing a pretty significant chunk of the point.
Right.
But I was trying to think, like, every Metal Gear game that has had a demo has been helped by the demo. I'm trying to think of, like, does Phantom Pain technically count as a demo for...
Right, for Ground Zeroes?
Or is it its own
game? Or does
game?
Ground Zeroes count as... Yeah, because it's like, it's a completely separate area, unique area, unique story, unique prequel setup. It's like, it really stretches the definition of, is it a demo or is it a fucking prequel?
Yeah, and is that, like, the way to do demos? Like I was saying before, where it's like...
I think if you have enough money and resources to put into a game, I think that's fucking awesome. I think it's the coolest goddamn demo ever.
Yeah, but then what if you mess up and the demo's better than the game?
And some argue that. Some would argue that.
You could make the argument that all the iconic things that you remember from that game are actually from the demo.
Right. So that is kind of an issue. Because I mean, there's the flip side, is like, what game would benefit from having a demo, versus, but like, it's more interesting to say, well, what game would actually be worse off with a demo? And yeah, I'm trying to think of this. I'm trying to think of, like, because I feel like there's a bunch of games I could name and I'm not naming them, where it's like, when you realize that it's a game where this is all the game is. Like, the gameplay loop is very simple, and this is all back in the like, maybe a game that probably, and you can't even use the argument that it would have hurt the game, because it didn't. But you could kind of argue that, like, if you had a demo for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you're probably getting everything you need to out of the main game. Like, the main game doesn't really do much more than just, like, add more levels, add more skaters. But like
more music,
but like, the core gameplay is fucking all there in the demo. But it didn't hurt that game at all. The game was a phenomenal seller, one of the best sellers of its time.
Because it's fucking great.
It's a great game. You could almost see where someone's argument would be like, this would be bad if this game had a demo, because people are just gonna realize that's all there is to the game. And that has happened. And God, why can't I not think of any off the top of my head right now? But there has been moments where, like, a game had a demo, and the demo was kind of praised, even like, people liked the demo, right? But then the final game came out and people realized, like, oh, the demo was pretty much it. Like, you're not getting anything better in the main game.
Well, I feel like that happened to one of the Ape Escapes. I can't remember exactly which one, but I think maybe 3 was the one. There was one of the Ape Escapes. I remember playing the demo, and then when I got the actual game, I was like, oh, it's just the demo over and over and over again. But maybe that's Ape Escape. I can't remember exactly. That's really kind of the problem with the Ape Escape games, though, in general, is like, how many different ways can you really make it catching an ape? You know, you do all the puzzles and jumping or platforming and stuff like that, and then you get to the ape and the ape runs away. Over and over and over.
One of the things back in the day,
but I loved it.
The games that had demos that probably hurt the game more than helped it. I'm going to give you 2 examples, and you're going to hate me. One of them is Jersey Devil, and one of them is Blasto. Because at the time, everyone on PlayStation was looking for their big 3D platformer, their Mario killer. They're because Crash is cool, but Crash is running down a hallway. Like, where's our big 3D Mario killer? Jersey Devil. Hell yeah, Sony first. Oh, you play the demo. Oh, this sucks. Never mind. Nope, not buying this.
Blasto doesn't count. Blasto.
I mean, Blasto's definitely the kind of game where it's like, you'd play it and go like, yeah, I'm not buying this.
Look, I don't think Blasto can even be considered a platformer. Did it have platform? Did it have platforming? Sure. Was it good platforming? No, it was not. And did it have shooting? Absolutely. Was it good shooting? No. No, it was not. I would say it was a story-driven humor game
Sure.
of some sort. Uh, you know what it is? It was a prelude to the first-party story games we love today, and that's its
Okay.
legacy.
Okay.
It had celebrity voice acting. It had a complex, rich world. Shit. It had, it just really
Ratchet
just
and Clank
top of the
is like
line graphics.
Ratchet and Clank is like the USSR like copycat equivalent of Ratchet and Clank. That's what
Ratchet.
Blasto is.
Oh, that's what Blasto is.
Yeah.
Blasto's the Soviet knockoff.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like the Soviet, the low grade, low quality Soviet knockoff of Ratchet and Clank. That's what Blasto basically is.
That's upsetting. It's upsetting, and it's sort of accurate. That's
well, I mean, to be fair, Blasto predates Ratchet and Clank by a bit, so
yeah, it was the inspiration. That's what I'm saying. It's the precursor to all the things we love about Sony today.
Here's an interesting one. The demo for Jak and Daxter 1 made me really want Jak and Daxter, and I got Jak and Daxter. The demo for Jak and Daxter 2 made me never want to touch Jak and Daxter. I never bought Jak and Daxter 2. Never.
Really?
So, because they pivoted hard on the kind of game it was. So, the demo for Jak and Daxter confirmed to me how much I did not want to play Jak and Daxter 2. Where the demo for 1 sold me hard on the game itself.
I had something similar happen with Sly Cooper. Where like I don't know if it was the demo, but I was playing in like a game store had like a demo unit, and Sly Cooper was, and I played enough of it there where I was like, I get the idea. It wasn't that I disliked it. I just like I had gotten enough out of the demo and was like, I don't know that I want to continue. Now I'm told though that like, oh, it's actually Sly Cooper is actually really good, and I would probably really love it.
No, that's just furries.
He's a hot raccoon. God, is he a raccoon? What is he?
Yeah,
he's a raccoon, right?
Yeah, he's a raccoon.
It's not a ringtail, because ringtails are different.
A lemur?
No, ringtails are like a raccoon adjacent.
Well, there's ring-tailed lemurs too.
Well, yeah, there's ring-tailed lemurs, but ringtails are a North American raccoon-esque.
I mean, he's just a raccoon. Devious Raccoonus or whatever is like literally the subtitle of the first game. But no, well, that game has a weird, creepy furry. Well, they all do.
Well,
who am I fucking kidding? They all fucking do.
Is it the tails? What is it? I don't know. We're just going to become a furry podcast.
Okay.
We did that side quest going into furry.
Oh man!
But part of me just keeps coming back to like, I don't understand it. They're not hurting anybody. Go be you. But
yeah.
But I keep having questions where I'm like, but what is it that gets your dick hard about it? Like, what is it that like? No, fair. Hey, look, fetishes, kinks. So many of them unexplainable.
Why does Quentin Tarantino love feet?
Well, yeah, I don't know what it is about it. Like, look, I'm not hating on feet. Everybody's got them.
And I've said but many times before, and I'll say it again on this podcast. I remember one of my earliest, shattering of innocences about the internet. It came in the mid '90s at a public library when the first time I got to use the internet. And I'm like, oh, like what's on the internet? They have everything. You can find. I'm like, cool. You know what I loved? I'm like, you know what I loved as a kid? Tiny Toons. Look up Tiny Toon Adventures on the internet. I'm like, why is there so much discussion about Fifi? I'm like, why? Fifi has been only in a few episodes. What the fuck? Why do people love Fifi? Like, I didn't know. I didn't have a lot of Tiny Toon loving friends. I had a couple, growing up, and then I found everyone loved Fifi. I'm like, couldn't understand why this was, and then I was like, oh, people love Tiny Toons in a way I never thought of. Like, just my brain never went there. And then the internet was introduced, and I looked it up like, hey, are there other Tiny Toon fans in the world? Oh, there sure are. Oh, what do they love? What are their favorite episodes? Who are the characters they love? They love Fifi. Why Fifi? Like, oh.
That reminds me of a tweet thread where like somebody was using the term CP as like a control point. They were using CP for control point, and they just kept saying like the CP. And finally in the thread, like someone responded, were like, just please stop saying that because of what it means. And like the guy's response was just like, why does the internet just fucking suck? And someone was like, you could have just left it as wide as the internet. Like, the internet just sucks. But
you know, you know, it's funny because I'll bet you I'll bet you weren't even playing a Sly. There was a Sly Cooper demo. I don't even think you're playing a Sly Cooper demo. I think you're playing Sly Cooper the game. I think you're playing it at Game Crazy.
Maybe. Yeah, it might have been a Game Crazy. Oh, you know what? It might have been. Was LizJack working there at that time? No,
Yes.
LizJack was he at Game Crazy at the
Yes.
time that Sly Cooper was out?
Yes.
Yeah, I might have gone there because yeah, maybe he wasn't. Fuck, what was Game Crazy attached to?
Hollywood Video.
That's right. God, the cool Blockbuster. They had the cool movies.
Yeah, they had like this little like chain link fenced off area for Game Crazy.
Yeah.
And then
That's
Blockbuster feebly tried very quickly with Game Rush, and then that died fast too. Well, so did Blockbuster.
And now everybody misses it.
I guess.
In hindsight, we look back and we go, "Damn."
Even if they were still around, nobody would go to them. It's the thing. It's like, oh, I miss Blockbusters. Are you willing to give up streaming services completely? Oh, no. Okay, then you don't miss it that much.
I sort of am. I am actually. Like, I kind of miss the going to Blockbuster, buying movie candy, and like picking out a movie. Like, I mean, granted, obviously, I love the movies, right? I've been fucking 15 years deep into doing that shit, but like, I loved movies as a kid, especially like we'd watch it on like TNT with commercials and shit.
Right.
And then the first time we ever got HBO, where I was like, "There's no goddamn commercials." But we used to go to like Blockbuster across the street to like the little hole in the wall movie store to like rent shit. So part of me is kind of like, it might be the time. Maybe the disruption is like bringing back Blockbuster.
Nobody's ever going to want to go back to that. Nobody's ever going to want to go back to that.
I sort of think they will.
No.
Because you'll be able to go and rent a movie that streaming services have taken off of their platforms.
Physical media is fucking dead and it's never coming back.
I hate that. And I don't want that to be true. I know it's true, but I don't want it to be.
Never fucking coming back. But yeah, like you know what though? You did touch upon something a little while back that I think is absolutely true, and it has happened to me. It happened to me with Octopath even, where it's like, I get it. I played the demo, I'm like, okay. I get the gist of the game.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's not even bad. I'm just like, I don't want to fucking drop $60 on this.
Right. It's what I wish I could have done with the Sub-Zero anthology game. Still fuck you, Rodney. I doubt he's ever listened to an episode, but if he's out there, fuck you, man. Just sold that to me knowing it was terrible. Laughed in my face, my childish, my innocent face when I came back pissed. All right, so closing thoughts on demos. Do you think demos are going to become normalized because Final Fantasy 16 is having success with a demo?
I think 16 is definitely probably. I mean, here's the thing: Microsoft, they don't even have to fucking think about it. Like,
right.
Like Microsoft was like, what about first party Microsoft games? We don't have to fucking do demos. Why? We put the game on fucking Game Pass day one.
Right. People are going to get it. People are going to.
We don't need that. Game Pass is better than demos. It really is. Here's the whole fucking game. You don't have to pay a fucking thing.
Right.
They've got that shit figured out. Sony has their PlayStation Premium, which is like the half-ass version of Game Pass
right.
for Sony. They could stand to benefit. They said, in their PlayStation Premium, they would have exclusive demos. I don't even know if I've even seen that yet, personally. I don't know if anything's happened. Maybe there is. I don't know. I didn't subscribe to it because I have Game Pass. And Sony's adamant about we will not put first party games day one on PlayStation Premium. Okay, why would I buy it then? I mean, what about all the old legacy games? I'm like, I guess.
Yeah,
they didn't put the full library on there, so I'm very unincentivized to do it. If they had put their entire PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 library, PS3 streaming, like the games that were on the PS3 and the PS Vita, like those old games that they had on there that are still not on the PlayStation Premium, if they were all on there, that would actually be a compelling sale, but it's not. But anyways, just getting off topic, a little tangent here. Nintendo kind of does this shit too, where they have free game trials for like a week. You can download a whole game and play a whole game, like they did with like Republic Commando recently. where you could just play Republic Commando for a week, like the
Which,
whole
I mean,
game.
Republic Commando is a 10-year-old game at least. So
It's old or whatever, but like
15 years.
it was like 2005, 4 or 5,
Wow,
maybe
yeah.
maybe 3. It was somewhere between 2003 and 2005. That's how fucking old it is, dude.
Yeah, because it was on original Xbox.
It was on original Xbox right before Episode 3 came out.
Right. Yeah.
So it fucking old, man.
I read the fucking novel.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Like, yeah, for PlayStation, for Nintendo, and for PC especially, like you have to look at the 16 demo and go, like, this got a lot of people on board this game, and it was already a mega popular franchise, but it was kind of having like shaky pre-order numbers, and oh, here comes a really good demo. Oh fuck, everyone's on board.
Right.
The only double-edged sword about this, as we said before, and it's still true, the game's got to be good. Because if the game is not good, Final Fantasy 16 demo works really well because Final Fantasy 16 is a good game and it's fun to play.
If it was bad,
if it was bad, this demo would only sink it further. So your game's got to be good.
Say you're like 6 months out and the game's trash, and you know it's trash. I mean, you've been working on the game for 5 years, and now you know it's going to suck cocks. Do you then go, well, let's put 6 months into a really good demo to try and get as many sales as we can?
Honestly, if you're shady, yes.
CD Projekt Red.
If you're CD Projekt Red, or if you're Bethesda, like you probably should.
You know what the thing is if demos become normalized, like where it's every game just has it, you're gonna see shit like that. Well, that's
like a game
late stage.
I wish we were at a stage where not having a demo was equivalent to a movie not having reviews before release date.
Or a trailer.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you hear what Ghibli's doing?
No.
So they have a movie coming out in a few weeks in Japan. And Suzuki, the producer for the movie, was just like, we have decided not to release any trailers or photos of the film ahead of time. And he's like, yeah, we're just doing it because like we feel like the whole world has become too obsessed with trailers and breakdowns and learning the whole movie before it comes out. So we're just going to we have a release date. We told you the release date for the movie. We released a poster and that's it. Like,
I respect that so hard.
Part of me is, so do I. I'm like, man, I wish I could be a guy in Japan, not knowing, like just knowing, hey, it's Miyazaki. It's probably his last movie. He's making a new movie. I know he is not releasing any info about it. I'm just going to go to the theater when it comes out in July and just have no preconceived notion of what I'm getting.
I sort of love that. I'm trying to think, is there any, I mean, Villeneuve, if he did it, if he did that shit,
yeah,
like, I'd go see a movie that he doesn't advertise.
Yeah, I mean, would you do that? Would you just be like, oh, this guy's making a new movie. I'm not releasing any trailers. You just have to see the movie when it comes out.
I haven't watched any of the trailers for Oppenheimer, and I'm gonna go see that because I know Nolan is probably gonna just fucking murder that.
Well, the trailers are fucking like weird, anyways. I don't think the trailers do like nothing to tell you about that movie.
Yeah,
but nobody wants to see that movie but me. So
no, I want to see that movie. It's gonna be incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the only thing I've seen on it was a interview with him and Cillian Murphy, where like he describes Cillian as a titan, like as like they described the phone call, because Cillian Murphy basically has like 3 directors that he'll always work with, and he's been getting closer and closer where he's kind of like ready to retire. But he'll always work for Stephen Knight. He'll always work for Christopher Nolan. And he'll always work for Danny Boyle. And Christopher Nolan called him and, is telling him about the movie and the characters and stuff, and lets him read it. And he's like telling Nolan, like, oh, here's some characters. Maybe maybe this side character. I'm not really sure which character you want me for. Because every time Nolan has tried to make him the main character since Batman, the studios have told him no. And then Nolan was basically like, no, I want you for Oppenheimer. And like, apparently Murphy just starts crying and he's just like, really? And he's like, but is the studio going to be okay with that? And Nolan was basically like, I got the juice. Fuck him. And you're just like, amazing. And it's actually, it reminds me of apparently like James Cameron or not James Cameron, John Milius did that for Arnold Schwarzenegger, where like Arnold Schwarzenegger had pissed off the little Italian God, I'm blanking on his name, but he was
Hercules in New York director.
No. Well, maybe Milius did Hercules. No, but he did Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, okay.
And he really liked Arnold for Conan, but the executive producer of it really didn't like Arnold. Really hated Arnold. Like, just did not get along with him. They insulted each other the first time they met, and I can't remember his name, but he's just a legend. But also legendarily sort of arbitrary about who he liked and disliked. Little Italian guy. Anyway, he was like, absolutely not. And so John Milius, who is fucking crazy, he was known for being nuts. And there's all sorts of interviews with him where like he says some whacked out shit, but he famously took a 45 to a negotiation, put the 45 on the table, and he's just laid out his desires and like just sort of waited for the other guy to counter offer any of the things. Guy didn't. Obviously, there's a fucking 45 on the table. And he walked away. Anyway, he did something similar where he walked into this executive producer and he was just like, and Arnold's for Conan. And this producer was like, no, Arnold is not gonna Schwarzenegger. I don't want Schwarzenegger in a movie. And like Millie was like, I don't fucking care. Like, I got the juice. Fuck him. And like they basically just went and did it. And then they started, and like 2 weeks into production, the executive producer, who I can't remember exactly, but apparently didn't know Arnold was the one doing it, shows up, watches furious for an entire day, but then at the end of the day walks up to Arnold and says, "You are Conan the Barbarian," and leaves. And apparently it's like the biggest compliment in the world, is the story.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck else was gonna be that, dude?
I don't know, but I just love the idea of a crazy director being like, I got the juice, fuck him. Like, I think James Cameron did something similar too. Like, they wanted OJ Simpson for the Terminator.
Yeah, that's right.
And James Cameron was like, what? OJ Simpson's not a killer. I want Arnold. And then, oopsies. Turns out. But yeah, closing thoughts on demos for games. I don't see why it isn't just the norm. Maybe it will become the norm, and then the ballsy thing to do is not release a demo.
Well, it's like, I feel like studios have been so gun shy about, releasing a demo, and then like Capcom's had success, but for some reason that didn't translate to anyone else. Now Square's also been doing it, and then 16's really shown it, and I think hopefully Liza P as well. I'm like, okay, we just had like 3 with RE4 back to back, big games, got big demos, did great for said projects.
Mm-hmm.
This should hopefully put a blanket statement forward, like, you should have a fucking demo, like, straight up.
Right. Yeah. You gotta
unless you're Microsoft, because you don't need it. Like, it's like, it's just, well, there's just Game Pass. I mean, could demos even benefit Game Pass? Maybe. I don't think it would hurt to have a demo for a game coming to Game Pass, but it's like, it's also
if you had a really good demo, if you had a really good demo that ended with day one on Game Pass, it could sell Game Pass.
Yeah. I mean, Sea of Stars has a demo, and it is day one on Game Pass. It's an indie game. Indie games are killing it. Indie games seem to get this too, because indie games are way more forthcoming about demos, because they actually know they need to get their product in your hands so you can actually see it and play it and enjoy and be hyped for it.
It just seems like the executives that work on indie games also seem to just understand games more.
Well, yeah, because it's usually the same people making the game. Like,
right.
It was another movie quote where it was like it's another James Cameron thing where it's like, who are you making the movie for? Yourself or the audience? And it's like, I'm making it for myself. Who is the audience?
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, that's how I go with my gut. It was there, and that was talking about the first Avatar,
the flying scene.
Yeah, the executives wanted to cut 3 minutes of flying, and why? It doesn't progress the movie. It doesn't. And it's like, because I know the audience wants to see it, because I want to see it, and I'm the audience.
Right. I've been making movies I've been making shit I want to see on screen, and that's how I know the audience wants to see it. The executive was like, it doesn't move the character or the plot forward, we should cut it. He basically called it shoe leather. And Cameron was like, "Yep, you've checked all the boxes, good executive. And here's why I don't fucking care."
And they got,
Yeah.
apparently he got heated where he at one point told them like the building we're fucking sitting in and having this argument was paid for by Titanic. I'm getting this in.
Well, yeah, apparently he has said the line, "I'm James fucking Cameron." That's why. Like he's done that.
Look, the last Avatar made $2.3 billion in the summer of flops. You know, you still can't count out good old Big Jim to bring in the big bucks.
Well, I mean, dude's obviously brilliant. I personally, Avatar doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't grab me the way like I want to be grabbed by Avatar, but it's just never.
But have
grabbed me.
you ever watched it in like a big ass theater with 3D?
Yeah, I saw it opening. I think I went with Max.
First one or second one?
The first one. I didn't watch the second one in theaters.
Second one's a better, even better theater, even lesser probably at home experience.
Oh well,
it's probably the way I would look at it because like it's so in love with itself and its technology that it's like, yeah, why would I can't imagine watching it any other way. Honestly, it's weird, and I haven't.
Well, to be fair, I feel like every movie should be watched on a big screen. I love movie theaters. It's mostly just out of convenience that I haven't seen pretty much every movie that's come out on a theater. Like that's another thing is so many movies are coming out now. Yeah, it's like wow.
And I've only watched Spider-Verse twice and loved it every minute both times.
Spider-Verse was great.
You and me we'll go see Oppenheimer because I know you're not coming with. I know you're not coming with me to see Indy 5, but
oh no, I'm going to see Indy 5. Elise wants to see it really bad.
Hell yes.
Indy is her. Indy and the Mummy are her two. She went to school for archaeology. She was bioanthro and archaeology in school and stuff.
Hell
and
yes.
Did digs and shit. So like we're gonna see Indy 5 for sure. But as always, we have patrons to thank, producers to thank. Raymond L was our dude of the week. Thank you, Raymond. And our producers for this episode are Mutton Chops Johnson, the Pink Hammer, the Schmidt One, Screwnomi, Croy 35, Hyper Viper 89, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. And we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.